Alexander the Great, the greatest power and conqueror the world has ever known, son of Macedonian king Philip II. Alexander took reign of Macedonia, located on the northern edge of Greece, after his father's mysterious murder in the spring of 336 BC. When his father died, Alexander took the throne of Macedonia and set out to outdo his father in everything he could, as well as take out anyone and anything that would stand in his way. After all, he inherited a strong kingdom and a very experienced army. This is what started his 11-year reign, with a battle never to be lost. In 334 BC, Alexander and his army of approximately 50,000 soldiers, 6,000 cavalry, and 120 fleet ships crossed at Hellas Point to start his conquest of the Persian Empire. He made it clear that his intent was to conquer the entirety of the Persian Empire. After his first victory against Persian forces at the Battle of Granicus, Alexander accepted the surrender of the Persian provincial capital and treasury of Sardis. Then he moved on to Halicarnassus in Caria, where he successfully waged his first of many sieges, eventually forcing his opponents to withdraw by sea. With this victory, he left the government of Caria to Ada, who adopted Alexander. With this victory under his belt, Alexander moved to the mountain in Cilicia and the Pamphylian plains, asserting control over the coastal cities in order to deny the Persians naval bases. With the coastal line conquered, he moved inland. After spending the winter with his campaign in Asia Minor, Alexander's army crossed the Sicilian Gates in 333 BC and defeated the main Persian army under the command of Darius III at the Battle of Issus. Darius fled the battle, causing his troops to collapse and leaving behind his wife and 2 children. He offered a peace treaty that included the lands he had already lost and a ransom of 10,000 talents for his family. Alexander replied, knowing he was now the king of Asia, that it was he alone who decided the territorial divisions. Alexander proceeded to take possession of Syria and most of the coast of Levant. In the following year, 332 BC, he was forced to attack Tyre, which he conquered after a long and difficult 7-month siege. With Tyre destroyed, most of the towns on the route to Egypt quickly capitulated, with the exception of Gaza. The control hold of Gaza was heavily fortified and built on a hill, which in turn required a siege. Later, in 332 BC, Alexander advanced to Egypt, where he was regarded as a liberator. In thanks for freeing Egypt from Persian rule, Egyptians proclaimed Alex new master of the universe and son of the deity of Amun and the oracle of Siwa Oasis in the Libyan desert. Leaving Egypt in 331 BC, Alexander and his army marched eastward into Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, and once again defeated Darius in the Battle of Gaugamela. As before, Darius fled, and Alexander moved on to capture Babylon. After Babylon, Alexander went to Susa and captured its legendary treasure. Furthering himself and his army, he continued to Persepolis, where he stayed for 5 months. In the winter of 326 BC, Alexander personally led a campaign against 3 clans in India. These clans were the Asapoisi of the Kunar valleys, the Gurians of the Guraeus Valley, and the Asakioni of the Swat and Buner valleys. Such as all battles prior to the Battle of Massaget and Ora both ended in destined slaughter of the city. With these victories, the armies of Massaget and Ora fled to Oronus, where Alexander was also victorious. After Oronus, Alexander crossed the Indus River and fought and won an epic battle against King Porus, who ruled the region in the Punjab in the Battle of Hydaspes in 326 BC. After these victories, his empire stretched from the Adriatic Sea to the Indus River, and that was as far as it would ever reach. After a long 2-year trek back to Babylon, Alexander started planning his next campaigns, with the invasion of Arabia to be first executed, but died on June 10, 232 BC from malaria and was never able to fulfill the task.